Hi, Schman.
Hello.
Oh, wait, oh, sorry, I gotta turn your mic on. Sorry. Say that again.
Hello.
Go. Schmano, you're back on the podcast.
Back.
And you always get upset. Let me do a proper introduction. Hi, everybody. This is my first and only husband, Schman.
Oh, man.
Well, what? I had options back in the day. I did. I mean, you know that.
I do know.
You know,
I
you've
wouldn't
seen
really
some of
call them.
them.
I wouldn't really call them options.
Okay, hello. And
Yeah.
you've seen some even here in LA. I still have it.
You have something, and you attract, and I don't know what this says about me, a certain type of man, only because you are nice to everyone, and that is your fatal flaw because
Yeah,
that gives men
yes.
hope,
Yes.
and hope is a dangerous thing.
For men.
Well, I'd say for anyone, but definitely for men when it comes to women.
Well, you've broken a few hearts here in LA when I'm out working red carpets and then I introduce you and my husband and they say, "Oh, I met your husband."
Well, I think part of it is they, probably had some aspirations and then they see me and they're like, whoa, I don't want to mess with that guy.
Well, here you are, my husband. We have been waiting to do this podcast episode. I feel like I've almost drawn this out too much because we found this information out yesterday. I probably should have done an emergency podcast.
Who are you,
Yes,
Dave Portnoy?
yes, I
Oh,
am actually. I'm very close. Okay, you know what? I love Dave.
You're both from the East
What?
Coast.
Spoken,
Yeah.
and we're New Englanders.
Yep.
And we have our strong opinions.
That's the God's honest.
And I think we're both good business people. Now, is he a bit of a better business person? So far, yes, but the race isn't over.
Get a head start.
The race isn't over. So I should have done this emergency podcast yesterday when we got this news, but I wanted to let it sink in. I think I had such anxiety. It was so nice. I was exhausted last night. It was nice to just go to bed with good news. But people have been waiting to see if our egg donor transfer worked. And what is the answer?
It works.
I'm so excited. We're pregnant.
We are. We are.
Can't even believe
I mean, there's a caveat. There's a caveat to all this.
Yeah.
It's still,
Well,
knock on wood, say a prayer, still very early.
okay, people who have done, yeah, go on. I'm cutting you off. I'm so excited.
Sorry, in my life. It's all positive, right? And
Yeah.
so we'll lay out everything for the audience because we love to bear everything on this podcast about our lives.
Well, you could have gotten out 12 years ago. I mean, that wasn't like
sliding doors moment.
Yeah, well,
there.
that wasn't like that was a secret you met
So-
when I was on the Kane show.
So we started our IVF treatment. I assume everyone knows about the egg, like the one good egg that was left over.
No. Let's go back because we didn't really do IVF. We did IVF
Oh, that's right.
a year ago.
We did egg
And
donor.
It didn't work,
Yeah.
right? So we did one round. It might even have been 2 years now. We did IVF, didn't work.
Yep.
We didn't even get to the retrival because the doctor called us the day before
Yeah,
the
it was a
retrieval and
disaster.
said, "I don't think there's any good eggs. This is a
Mm-hmm.
disaster." Okay. So we got part of our money back. So we said, that's it. We tried this. We're not doing it. We're not going to do these endless rounds, mostly because of our age.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I was 41 or 42 when we did IVF.
Married to
Well, Jeff Bezos is married to a woman in her 50s.
Not all of her is 50.
Well, okay.
We'll
Well,
get to that in a moment.
you know what? I can get some upgrades here and keep the tits, the lips, and the vagina can be a day old if you want. Okay. They can get
Weird. You spell it out like that. But let's go on. Let's go back to the egg donor.
So, all right. So we did that because I think in the back of our minds, after we had a miscarriage at look, even before KJ, we had this crazy partial molar pregnancy back when I was like 37. So I think our journey got off to a rough start and we almost knew then, like, maybe there's a chance we won't even have a child.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had healthy KJ. Everything went off without a hitch. We moved to California. We get pregnant that year, or a year later. We make it 13 weeks. We even pass the NIPT.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the NIPT you have at 10 or 11 weeks, which tells gender, Down syndrome, all this stuff. Our baby didn't have any of that. But obviously there was something chromosomally wrong because the baby didn't live. She didn't live, I think, like 13 weeks or something, right? Okay. So since then, we've had 2 more miscarriages. The last one, I've already told everybody, was like twins. The second sac didn't grow. Then the other sac passed away at 9 weeks in utero. Had Down syndrome, Turner syndrome, a whole bunch of things, right? Okay, so we've always had this egg donor. For about 9 months, we've had these eggs. We bought 8 eggs.
Well, you forgot an important thing. the month before we were going to start the egg donor.
Yes.
That's right. We got pregnant, and
Yeah.
that set everything
I
back.
think you
So
were there. It wasn't a guy that I'd met on the red carpet, although I'm going to be honest, I think there were some volunteers. But anyhow, look, my eggs are old and dusty, okay? So all right, so we had to go through all that. We had a miscarriage in March of
yep.
this year. We had to have a DNC. We had to recover from that. And then starting, I'm going to say what, 3 weeks ago, they started thawing and fertilizing our 8 eggs. Now, that part started out really positive. 6 had thawed and fertilized. So we were like, oh my God, this is like unbelievable. We're going to have all these eggs. By day 5, we were down to 3 eggs, one perfect, awesome embryo that they implanted about 2 weeks ago. Okay. And that one stuck. And like unbelievable magic.
I thought we only had one egg that
We did the one
that
they
was it.
implanted.
So
Then by day 7, all the others had passed away.
Yep.
Like all of the
So we had
died.
one good egg.
And they implanted it.
And you let's dial back a couple days ago. You took an early pregnancy test.
I did.
Make
I
sure that
cheated.
our personal information
Oh,
is not
is it?
in this as
Is
you're
it?
about to share with the world.
This is our embryo. This is our
Make
embryo.
sure. Yeah, there it
I
is.
closed
Okay.
it up.
All right.
I closed that up.
So this weekend, prior to like a 2 week or so milestone,
I
you
wrote down.
you took a pregnancy test pretty much every day from like I think you took one Thursday, then Friday, then Saturday, and then again Sunday. Does that sound about right?
I did.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it, but
Yep.
I did. I was really good and I was going to hold out. And people were like, you said you were going to hold out. And I did, but I can't tell a lie. And so by Thursday,
Over here.
well, I don't want to be deceitful to my audience because I mean, if you can make it the 2 weeks,
Yeah.
your willpower is unbelievable. But I will say this, the transfer went off without a hitch. I was healthy. I popped that Valium. Like I came home in the afternoon, I rested. I did everything the doctor told me. And I truly believe I don't really eat dairy and I drink dandelion root tea. That just like makes my body feel so
No free
good.
endorsements here.
I need an endorsement by them. So the transfer went so awesome, right? The doctor said that, like Dr. Wong was like, this looks so good. You were there.
I was.
I was feeling loopy by the time we left. So I held out for a really long time. I had cramps about 6 days post transfer. And that freaked me out a little bit because I thought, oh my God, I'm either getting my period or it's implantation. And I stayed off the internet until that point, which was only
Very difficult for you.
It was very difficult. That was a week ago, probably like Monday. And so I stuck with it for a while, but then I would Google my symptoms. And of course, it said this can either be side effects of progesterone injections and estradiol, or you can be pregnant. Anyhow, the long and the short is I held out for a long time, but
So,
Thursday night,
context purposes,
couldn't hold out
we
any
got
longer.
a call yesterday.
Right. Okay. So you get the pregnancy test, right? You do the home one, which they say isn't always accurate and doesn't do your HCG levels. But we did the HCG draw yesterday. We're up over 2,092.
Very good numbers.
Very good numbers, Allie said.
And because this is an egg of a 26-year-old,
Yes.
the metrics, the measurements are going to be different. So even though we're not out of the woods yet, but
No.
all signs point to positive. And what's the milestone that really gives us for egg donors? 7 weeks?
Ling and Dr. Wong, and Allie's the nurse, basically said once you get to 7 weeks with an egg donor, because the egg is 26, like you said, once you get beyond that 7-8 week mark, then basically your chances of a live birth are like 90 or over 90%. So we have a couple weeks to go. I do not know actually how pregnant we are because I read online. So they implanted it 2 weeks ago, but the embryo was 5 days old. So I read online you're actually 4 weeks and 6 days because they do it from the day of your last period. Your period ended. But then I read somewhere online you're 2 weeks, 5 days. I don't know. People
If only there was someone qualified who we could ask that to.
I'll go back to the doctor tomorrow. I go for a sonogram tomorrow just to make sure the egg is in the right place. But can we just talk about?
Let's hear it.
First of all, you feel more muscular. You're hot. We can't have sex for 6 weeks.
No,
I
thought it was 4 weeks, but
was it 4?
You push the goalposts back. You already turned me into an incel, and
no, I love having sex with you. That part is very hard. It's very hard.
She said, right?
So 4 weeks. I still have 2 weeks to go. You better not touch me. No stimulation. But I've got to say, however, like whatever you did to produce your load at that doctor's office was you got a good
Well,
one.
listen, there's one thing that I
You're
think
good at,
we've shown
and it's
through
working. Oh,
I think we've shown through this whole process is that my boys can swim. And
well,
that's
let's not blame everything on my dusty eggs, okay?
well,
You,
it's a team sport. We win together, we lose
all
together.
right, there we go.
But the for those individuals who've never, gone to a clinic and, you know, did their job, it's really unceremonial. It's you're in a room.
Okay, you're speaking to all the men now. So
Well,
basically,
men, let me tell you what happens. You go into this doctor's office, and instead of there being medical equipment, there's a Barco lounger that's covered in paper. It's so it's just not what you're looking for. And I'm very curious to know who um, curates the material that's in these rooms, because I'm trying to remember whether this was one in Virginia that we went to previously or another one in Los Angeles that we went to previously, but they had DVDs, they had I know
DVDs.
they
Who
had
does DVDs?
well, clearly they do because they had they had DVDs.
Don't they
They
realize
had,
people are going to bring your cell phone?
well,
Like, can't
that's
you just
that leads me to what I think this current group does, because the previous one had DVDs, lots of magazines for all shapes and sizes, and wants and needs. And this one had, I think it had internet connection to a monitor, but the monitor didn't seem to be working. I just used my phone. Um, and I just thought if we had a daughter, we could name her after the porn actress that I looked at. Um,
great?
Wouldn't that be something? No, and they had four magazines. Four
That was
magazines.
it,
That was it.
total.
That was it. So I was frankly, I don't know if I can leave a Yelp review that they need to provide more material, but
You can.
um, and I'm always curious who is responsible in that office for, replenishing the materials and updating it,
I'll
because
ask Dr.
it's
Wong's office.
it was a question, but it did my job. Um, I'm an efficient person in life. So,
You don't have to be that efficient.
well, what am I going to make? Am I going to make a meal out of it and just,
Well, you said that you actually
well,
completed the task like a little soon, so you hung out.
I completed the task a little ahead of schedule. Again, I'm not Sting, and I got things to do. So I waited an extra minute or so because they have to mark the time on it. And so I waited an extra minute or two, and even then, when I handed the sample to the nurse and she wrote down the time, I think she gave me a little side eye, like,
This is real
man,
quick.
yeah, you could have spent a little more time in there.
You told me you were working on a stand-up act around IVF, basically,
I've got some premises.
positing
I've got some premises about that
your
whole
uses.
experience.
And so give us like, what's the setup here? Is there going to be do you know the punchline yet?
No, it's all more premises. It's again the curating of the material, the depressing Barco lounger covered in doctor paper. It's just
And then when you complete so quickly,
like, what
the
do you do?
judgment.
Yeah,
Yeah, what do you do?
can you just put on regular Netflix and catch up on tires or a stand-up special?
And what is an acceptable amount of time, do you think, to be in there? Because I mean, if you're in there 15 minutes, it's like what kind of,
Something's going
yeah,
wrong.
what's
Well,
going
it goes
on?
back to like these porn videos that are 40 minutes long. It's like, who's watching a porno for 40 minutes? I just don't know.
Probably my late Uncle Forge. He was apparently like
Sometimes you need background. Sometimes you need some background
it
noise.
was like marathon sex.
Okay,
I mean, he was going
let's
away.
keep it. Let's talk
Okay.
about our pending baby.
Well, I'm sad. My future child is not going to meet my Uncle George, who became Forge because he joined a leather fraternity.
Again,
And
let's
it's
keep
70.
it. Let's keep
Okay.
it on
Well,
topic. Okay,
joined the Forge.
Julian.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you think what, like were you in there? What would you say? 5 minutes? And she sort of gave you a look?
Yeah, give or take. Let's just say.
5 is fast. I mean, you are amazing to me because like you should have stamina.
I had things to
just
do. I had things to do, and I respect their timeline.
look. You produced that. You helped produce.
We did.
You helped produce that.
We did it.
We did it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We did it, Joe.
We did it, Joe. And it was 30 seconds in there or 5 minutes, you got this beautiful little embryo
There you
that
go.
we've implanted and is
Fingers
done.
crossed.
So this is good news. I have to say I'm feeling far more relieved. I don't know if other people have been through this that have used an egg donor or a surrogate, but it's such a sigh of relief to
Hmm.
not have my own eggs. I think we'd gotten to the point where
That ship
like,
has sailed. We
disgusting.
gave it the old college try several times.
Several times and not meant to be. But I've always sort of had this vision that we would have this kind of blended family of our foster to adopt baby,
Mhm.
KJ, our egg donor baby. Like every baby will be a different
It's kind of like
combo.
Brad and Angelina.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I've always,
It's worked out well for those two kids.
that's actually, yeah, I hope we don't end up like that. And they're still fighting over their winery. But maybe we'll open a winery
It's
together and get
something.
divorced.
Oh, what a world that would be.
I always used to say when I was on the Kane show that I was like I wanted to be the Angelina Jolie of Rockville, Maryland, and just like adopt kids and have all these children,
It's quite an aspiration.
make out with my brother.
Shout out Rockville.
Okay. Do you think there's anything else important for us to share on
On the
this?
baby?
Yeah.
No, it's just, it's I am not letting myself get too excited
Well, that's too
because,
bad. You
well, no, I
should.
am, but there is an element of Charlie Brown kicking the football with this, even though it's the details are different. But I'm fingers crossed, optimistic, positive thoughts, positive vibes only, and with any luck, baby two is coming to us early 2026.
I feel so good. I feel so optimistic. I've already like working on names because I just feel like changing the record is going to result because there's nothing wrong with my like I don't have any underlying health
No,
conditions. I don't have anything wrong with my uterus. It's just we know it
you
was
have
the
a
egg
wonderful
quality.
uterus.
Great uterus,
Mhm.
great home, but it's just it was the egg
Mhm.
quality. So I feel very good about this experience. I'm going to let myself be positive. You know, you're always nervous in a
Sure.
pregnancy, but I'm going to let myself be positive and hopefully we don't have twins in there. The doctors,
We don't have to.
I don't think so either. I think we have one healthy, strong.
One strong egg.
And we've already talked about this, and I don't know if this is probably more of a defense mechanism or,
Okay, go on. Sorry. I was just getting ready to roll my eyes.
well, we've already said we're not going to find out the gender of
Oh
our
yeah.
baby until, so I don't know. Is that out of excitement or is that out of protection? Like we've been so
I think it's out of
invested.
excitement.
Oh,
And
that's good. See,
and
positive on
yeah,
that.
absolutely. And it's funny. And we my mother had these wise words when we informed her yesterday about this, and as well as not knowing the gender, which we have the opportunity to find out
Right.
through the genetic testing, that she said there are so few things in this world that are actual surprises now.
Yeah.
And what we're going to come in with a pink onesie and a blue onesie, and we'll see what happens.
I'm feeling girl vibes. When I was at Disney, I don't know, when I was having like some cramping, I just had a blink.
Hmm.
And then I saw a Christmas ornament that was pink and I was very drawn to it. And I really felt, and you can doubt the manifestation,
No,
but
you can.
you,
Those are definitely some dots to connect. And
you live
wow,
with me and you said the other day you think I'm a witch, a good witch.
I think I called you a witch with a B, but
You said, no, I'm a good witch and you know it. I just have a blink. I feel like at first I thought it was going to be a boy because you have all boys in your family.
hmm
Your parents have three boys.
hmm
You are one of three boys.
hmm
Your brother has two boys, and then you have a boy.
And KJ wants a brother.
KJ does want a brother, but I think it's going to be a
All
sister.
right, we'll see.
Do you have an early vibe? I
No.
mean, by the way, this baby is like 4 cells. It's
Yeah,
like literally the size of a
it's the
fingernail.
size of a seed. No, I don't. And we'll find out. I'll know by the start of the second trimester. I'll be able to tell you.
Really?
Hmm.
What
Because
indicator?
I'll know how the baby is carrying in your uterus, and I'll be able to tell.
What do is this like
I've
you
done
look at a
research.
lot of
I've done
women and you just
research.
can tell?
Hmm.
Okay.
The way a girl is carried is different than how a boy is carried.
Um, all right, well, we will see. And I have to say too, maybe this is because I'm like completely delusional, but I actually already forget that this baby is an egg donor baby. Like I completely think it's mine.
Well, it is yours.
I
You're
know.
carrying it.
And I feel like I'm already like 26. You know what I'm saying? Like I was
I
implanted with this
wish.
20.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
You should be blessed to be with a
I am
43.
blessed. Count my lucky stars every day.
Well, you could count them in front of me, so I know it.
I'm here on the podcast, aren't I?
Anyway, I just already feel 26. I don't know. I feel very young, like I'm embodying the energy of the egg. Is
Bring it. I like it.
all right, before you leave us, because it's been a minute, the last time you were here, people like loved it. They always think you're so funny.
Oh, well, that's great. I appreciate the positive feedback.
Anything you want to weigh in pop culture wise that's
Yeah.
going on?
You guys talked about Jeff Bezos and that wedding?
I have. Is there anything you would like to add? Actually, by the way, my favorite thing, and I forgot this, is the morning. I think it's the Toast. It is a podcast. I love the pop culture, and they were just ripping everybody there because most of those celebrities at some point have preached to us about climate change.
Sure, and they've all taken
Every
the
single
private
one.
jets. Oh, yeah.
Every single one flew in and out of Italy, private. I mean, insane. People are like, I never want to hear from Leonardo DiCaprio about the environment. Although I don't think you hear from him anymore anyway.
No, the only time you hear about him is when he has a new 25-year-old girlfriend. That's the only time you ever hear about him or from him.
So I loved their point.
I'll preface all this and say, as much gripes as oligarchs and billionaires get, we should have them because they.
You're saying this?
Well, hold on. I'm gonna say it with a caveat. You know, Bezos created a system that changed shopping. You know, Bill Gates
Amazing.
changed computers. You know, they're
Elon changed vehicles.
there you go. You know, so you have to give some credit, but the moment they start, you know, renting out all of Venice and bringing in A-list celebrities who aren't even their friends, unless they're part of, you know, some sort of
I do feel bad for
the
them. I don't think
Illuminati,
they really
unless
have-
they're like all part of some Illuminati type thing. Yeah, you should get some grief for having an ostentatious wedding. All I know is with Bezos, I mean, he's done quite the glow up himself.
I talked about this on the
Yeah.
podcast today. Like I released double episodes, but I said the thing about him, like I'm so inspired because there is no ugly human. You're just broke.
Yeah.
Like he
Well, I mean,
so attractive now.
he's done enough. You know, I'm surprised he didn't go with the hair plugs just to like give himself a full.
The plugs.
But I'm sure he could afford it. But all I know is with what's the
Lauren Sanders.
Yeah, you know,
I actually enjoy her.
I bet she's got some talents. If you know what I mean.
She has unbelievable talents. Like
Like
I
a
want her to
golf
teach it.
ball through a garden hose.
Well, I mean, show us your ways, Lauren.
Mhm.
Not that I'm looking for an upgrade, but I'm just saying, like, whatever she's doing, can you tell us? Because
Yeah, how do I bag a
she's-
billionaire?
she is magical.
Yep. And then so that's I was fascinated by all that, but all for all 5 seconds. And then this is just more of a television opinion. I finished season 4 of The Bear.
How was it?
I enjoyed it. I
Okay.
enjoyed it, but I have a gripe for those of you who watch television. I want if you're going to be nominated for Emmys,
Okay.
you need to be released one episode a week for the duration of your season. I don't like the binging.
You hate the
I hate the binging. There's no communal element of watching television. I've got friends who, you know, I'm texting with. They're like, "Oh yeah, I finished the Bear." I'm like, "Dude, it came out 24 hours ago." It's like, "Yeah, I work from home." Like, I don't think you work at all if you're knocking out 10 episodes in a day. But it's imagine like think about all the quintessential TV moments of the last decade, whether it's the end of let's say last 2 decades, like the final episode of The Sopranos,
Amazing.
or
Everybody
the
knew
Red
where they
Wedding
were.
of Game of Thrones, or
So
or
good.
like and people consuming that, the vast majority of people consuming it at different times as opposed to all at once. You miss out on that community and then also the ability to talk about a show over the course of a week. And so for those producers of The Bear and anyone at Hulu and Netflix, please, one episode a week.
It's how I feel about Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Me too.
I know. I've had a hard time because they released them all at once, a hard time getting into it and enjoying it because to your point, there's just not a lot of there's Discord like when it first comes out that weekend, but then
Yeah.
after that
There's no
it just-
build up. There's no anticipation.
It's
Yeah.
good. And I like that show. I'm
Me
obsessed
too.
with the Mormons.
That's the one with the Mormons who live in Salt Lake and they argue with
Yes.
each other.
Yes.
One of 2 or 3 shows.
It's so good though, because the Mormons were like such a secret towards
Not anymore.
No, I
Those
know.
magic undies are out there.
and they all party now and they
Mhm.
all bone all the time and do ketamine. Oh, they still soak.
Spoiler.
But-
I didn't know that's the ketamine part.
What's so stupid? They
So,
they're like instead of going to actual talk therapy, this one couple that's in trouble does ketamine to try to get closer.
hmm,
I'm like, that seems like an excuse to just do
sounds like,
drugs.
well, or, K-holes bring people together.
Do they?
I don't
Are you
know.
gonna do one up north? Well, I'm out now because
Yeah.
in Michigan,
We'll see.
we have a family member that could probably provide it.
Well, let's not go
I
there.
can ask her.
Let's not go there.
Yeah. I've got a source,
Hmm.
couple of
Okay.
sources. Okay. Well, we're heading to Michigan.
We are.
It's your happy place.
I am. I'm looking forward to it.
I know you are.
We leave shortly. We get the goal is to minimize technology use, and just enjoy some fresh air. And
The air is so
yeah,
nice up there. It's beautiful. Northern
Kid
Michigan.
Rock knew what he was talking about,
I know.
but
I
we're
know.
looking forward to it. And we have
I ran into Tim Allen last summer. He wasn't particularly happy to
no,
see
he's
me.
not a happy person in the first place. But no, we got our we're in charge of taco night again.
I may have to social media that. We make tacos for 50 people, and
Mhm.
I hate cooking. I've already told you, once I hit a certain amount of salary on the podcast, once the company grosses a certain amount of money, I will never cook again. I will never boil water.
I enjoy it. I
I know
put my
you do.
hairnet on. I have that cigarette dangling from my mouth, and I cook 20 pounds of hamburger meat,
I
taco meat.
already loved when you said that image. Like you were kicked everyone out of the kitchen. You were like, ah, because you get very flustered in the kitchen.
Well, I
And
get flustered when people are in my space while I'm preparing a meal for 50 people.
and you are a bit of a messy chef. I'm not gonna lie. Like you are a little bit. I mean, you really spread out.
I like to use utensils. I like to use pots and pans.
A lot of them.
And
Of them. I don't know
what
what
about the
the
finish?
recipe calls
How
for.
about
Like
this?
five
How about this?
and
Is the
fifty.
finished product? Do you question the finished product?
I don't.
Don't mess with the process.
Did a delicious what was it last night? Grits? Was it grits or a polenta?
It was a polenta, but they call it grits. It was a scallop
Yummy.
on grits with veggies. It was good.
Divine.
Hmm.
Okay. Thank you for giving us feedback on the bear, on the Lauren Sanchez, Jeff Bezos wedding. I was not as I guess what do you expect from billionaires and oligarchs? Like, aren't they gonna have a huge
They should. I mean, they
least
should. They
try.
should. They go celebrate. But
I was shocked with their lack of true friendships. I feel like is Jeff Bezos really hanging out with Tom Brady? I doubt it. I don't think Jeff Bezos is hanging out with Orlando Bloom.
no, but that's
Or
quite a crew.
Leonardo
It's quite a
DiCaprio.
crew.
Like it. I guess it just seemed like a red carpet event.
It did. It seemed a little
Sydney
manufactured. Yeah.
Sweeney, there's no way they're hanging out with Sydney Sweeney in real life ever. Like Jeff Bezos is calling up Sydney Sweeney.
If I was he, I was calling her up.
What?
See you, Lauren.
Why? Oh no, Lauren's got him on lock.
Mhm.
I bet she could outsuck Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney wouldn't even know where to start compared to what Lauren can do. That's not a one-trick pony.
No, that's but you know what? Now you've got some I need to go back to that room we were talking about earlier. So anyways.
All right, Schman. Well, congrats. You're going to be a daddy again. I can feel it. And here we go.
All right. Good times.
Bye, Schmano.
Bye.